Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Farming Life in Thailand. My name is Ton and today we're going to talk about coco peat, how we prepare it and for what we are actually using it for. At our farm we're using two kinds of quality. One is the cocoa husk, which is quite big and chunky, and the other one is, we call it coco peat, which is much finer. So the purpose of both of this is actually in the characteristic of aeration, which is provided by this here, and water retention, which is provided by coco peat here. And I'm going to show you how we are preparing it so that we can use it for our farm. So what I've done is actually putting 100 liter of coco peat and 100 liter of cocoa husk into this 500 liter water tank. What we need to do first is actually soak them. The purpose why we have to soak them actually is because it contains a lot of tannin. We have to get rid of this tannin, otherwise our plants are not gonna grow with that. So one day soaking 200 liters of media in 500 liters of water. With our experience so far it worked quite well, and for that in the end we're going to measure it with the EC meter, which is an indication if there are still some tannin left or some other unwanted salts. Well, this is the first rinsing which we are draining right now. I'm going to show you what kind of conductivity it has. So let me get some. Look at that. That is all tannin, and that's actually not what we want to have in our growing media. So the EC meter, we're using EC meter here to measure the conductivity, which is a little bit above 1. We need it below 1, so this is actually not bad. But that's the first rinsing. We have not done yet the buffering, so let's continue with that. After draining it, we have to add calcinite. Calcinite is actually a calcium nitrate, and we need that to buffer our media here. So what I have here is 100 gram, which is already enough for this amount. So what I have to do is just sprinkle it in here, and afterwards fill it up with water. I'm gonna let it fill up. And after it's filled up, I'm gonna stir it a little bit. Buffering it by adding the calcium nitrate, I drained this and filling it off with normal water again. So I'm going to measure now by draining it what the actual EC is right now with the last water. So as you see, it's way much clearer. And by measuring it, we got an EC of 0.7. That is already alright. This is what we can use. So just gonna let it drain, let it dry up a little bit. Then I'm gonna show you what we are actually using it for. Well, the purpose of why we're washing coco peat and cocoa husk is actually for this, our growing bags, where we're going to cultivate peppers, melons and cucumbers. And as you see, we are using a system of just the growing bag itself, a drip irrigation head, and that's how we prepare to grow our melons afterwards. This is an example how a melon is growing in a growing bag. This one is a little bit bigger, but this is my experimenting area with different sizes and with different medias and different varieties of melons. And as you see, they're growing quite healthy. And what I'm doing here is actually we're using nutrient solutions to irrigate them. And that all with coco peat. If you want to see more what I'm doing here at the farm here in Thailand, then subscribe on my channel and follow my journey in Thailand's farming environment.